Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no good balance in this room.
Do what you
gotta do, man.
to City Hall.
One's better.
All right, we live. We here.
We're doing it.
The boys are back in town. Yes.
The boys are back
Alright.
in town.
All right. Are we good if I start us up here?
Yeah.
Yaha. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. We are Geek Garden, and welcome to the next episode of Stay Indoors, the only podcast on the internet that is keeping me from playing Ghost of Tsushima Legends right this very second. Like I said, we're Geek Garden. I am Kelly McCabe, and I'm joined as always by the brilliant Brandon Horn,
Brilliant. Wow. Okay.
the salacious Sean Fabish,
I knew it. I knew salacious.
and the jovial Jack Tan.
Thank you.
Jovial.
Finally, someone recognizes my jovialness.
We got
Oh
some
my
fun stuff to
God.
talk about today, but first up, we're Canadians. We celebrated Thanksgiving this past weekend. It's a weird time. I want to know how you guys are doing, how your week was, how Thanksgiving went, and what you're thankful for right now. Sean, why don't you start us off?
Holy shit. That's a lot of questions. What was the first one? What did I do for Thanksgiving? How was it?
Sure,
It was-
that
it
can be
was
the first
very-
one.
It was very, very good. My family gatherings now have this sort of tradition where we all play Jackbox games.
Mhm.
And it's usually just the two. We play Push the Button, which is like the deception-based alien game where you're trying to like vote people off at the very end.
It's like the Among Us, but
Yeah.
Jackbox game. Yeah.
It's the Among Us of Jackbox games. So we've been playing that. We've been playing that since before like Among Us was a huge trend. And
We played it before it was cool, man.
before it was cool. No, but it's so easy to like get my parents on board to play Jackbox because they use their normal people logic and like normal smartphone like stuff.
There's not a lot of video game stuff to it.
Yeah, there's not. You don't need a high amount of video game literacy to like actually enjoy said game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's about the social aspect, which are games that like I think I've just been gravitating toward naturally lately. But anyway, so it was great. We had a good time. I had to cover for my mom, who was the alien, and it was really, really hard because one time, literally, okay, so my brother, just a short tangent, but my brother once got my stepdad and my mom with this line, Dad, does Mom know you're the alien? And he goes, do you?
It's pretty good.
It was so good that we laughed about it for days. So we had a great time, which was nice because my family has been, we've been a little up and down lately, but it was actually a pleasant and enjoyable evening with good food and stuff.
That's good.
Yeah, and my week was not too bad. We played some Among Us this week, or last night, which was really, really fun. I've been playing some more Destiny with the group. They did some raids without me, which was sad, but the boys. It's
The
good.
boys.
And then what am I thankful for right now? Hanging out with you guys.
Aw, that's fucking cute.
Oh,
Bit
Jesus
easy,
Christ.
bit easy answer.
Oh God,
Right on,
I
right
love
on.
it so much. Oh.
Jack, same
Yo.
questions. How you doing? What's up?
I mean, yeah, pretty much everything's still the same. I couldn't go out this week because the weather was shit.
Yeah, it's raining right now like crazy
I'm
too.
loving the
so.
rain. I'm loving it.
Well, you know what? Your opinion is yours.
That it is, Jack.
And you know what? You're not trying to fly planes, so I'm sure you do love the
This
rain,
is fair.
Brandon.
This is fair.
Yeah, Brandon. God.
Yeah, God, Brandon.
Yeah. So I couldn't
Hello.
really do much. I still have to do a test next week, so I have to get prepared for that.
Written or
Yeah,
technical?
I'll do the radio written.
Right. Oh yeah, the one you talked about last week. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I gotta do that. But other than that, yeah, no, everything's still good. Still the same.
Cool. Do you guys do much of like a Canadian Thanksgiving thing in your house or no?
I mean, not really, but like we had like people over. I guess
Cool.
Sunday. Sunday.
Use
Yeah.
it as like an excuse just to like socialize and eat food.
Yeah, sort of like that.
Respect.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
most people just in general. Like they don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. They just go, "Hey, well, we're gonna fucking stuff our faces,
Yeah.
get drunk, and fucking eat and fucking play games or something." Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Brandon, where are you at? What's going on?
This week has been okay. It's gotten better now. I had a lot of just like work stuff that was stressing me out this week. For those who don't know, I like work at like a music store as both an instructor and like a management member. And because it's a small company, I wear like a million freaking hats. And because of COVID right now, I'm like the only like senior staff member that's physically at the store. The owner is not on location, and my manager, my boss, is working from home. So it's not that I've had a lot of work, but it's just like every single time there is work, I have to do it. Like there's no one like, because before I could kind of like prioritize, and I still can kind of do this, but I could like prioritize and go, hey, these things I can do now, and then all the stuff that I don't do, the person tomorrow morning will see that and they'll. But that's not a thing anymore. It's literally just me, and I'm just like, well, shit, this has to get done before tomorrow night. So not only do I have to finish this stuff, but I also have to get this done as well, and yada yada. So that's been kind of stressful, and I'm like trying to find balance with like taking on a bunch more Geek Garden stuff, and like, and then the plus side this week is that we've had some pretty exciting stuff happen with Twitch, but I'm not going to say more than that. Like exciting stuff with Geek Garden, and I'm stoked for us and like moving forward. And I think I've been really excited at the fact that like we're slowly cultivating like a community. Like we have like this kind of like a family that's kind of growing around Geek Garden, and people who I consider are starting to become friends and stuff, and other people who like I'm excited to know better through Geek Garden. And yeah, I took, to be honest, I actually took a bit of a break from streaming this week because I just did so much last week, and then like I said, work stuff was getting crazy, so I just kind of like, all right, let's slow it down a little bit and like chill out. And then then we streamed last night and played Among Us, and it was a freaking blast. I also finally bought Ghost of Tsushima yesterday, so I started that. I barely played it. I'm literally still in like the introduction. Like I literally just got to the part where he pushes you off the bridge, and like, and I have another flashback, and like that's where I'm at.
Spoilers.
It's like 10 minutes into the game.
Dude, there's a bridge.
Shut up.
In Tsushima?
Tsushima. And I had a lot of sushi last night while playing Ghost of Tsushima, and that was great. But that was my week. It had its kind of like stressful moments, but I'm glad I'm at the end of the week, and I'm excited to game and stuff. Oh, also one other thing, we discovered we have like a leak in our basement that's coming from the bathtub, and it's because, so again, for people who don't know, I've recently moved into my grandmother's old house, and they've been the only homeowners since 1960, like 5 or 6, and the only person who owned this house. So like it's old. It's an old house. There's some stuff that's been renovated, like they've replaced the windows and done some painting and stuff. But anyways, the tiling and the drywall in the main shower is rotting, and it's like broken down next to the bathtub. So when you use a shower, it just like drips past the bathtub into the floor and then down to our basement. So we're replacing our shower and bathtub.
Oh,
that's fun.
That's a whole thing.
Well, because I had my dad come in, he was just like, "Yeah, no, like this is all rotting. Like we have to replace all the drywall, and if we're gonna do that, we might as well also just put in a new tub." And apparently, bathtubs are like made out of fiberglass now and like really cheap.
Oh,
I didn't know that, but yeah, we have a bathtub literally sitting in our garage right now, and it just has to be installed this weekend, hopefully.
That's fun.
That's the thing. I'm gonna be ripping up walls and stuff, and yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
Right on, man.
Yeah. So we haven't showered in days.
So pretty standard then.
It's it's sponge bath strict.
Yeah.
Household.
Yeah.
Cool.
I keep my hair up for a reason. It's pretty gnarly. Pretty
nice.
fucking gnarly.
I'm wearing a wig.
I mean, you already knew that, so.
Yeah, I know, but I'm also wearing a wig on top of that wig because the other one's dirty.
The way he couldn't
And
wash it,
and he can't take it off.
He got one of those like crazy glued on toupees that just like it fucking just won't come off.
Yeah. Oh my god, have you guys seen I Think You Should Leave? I know Brandon has.
Yeah,
I think Jack has. Kelly, you should watch I Think You Should Leave because they're a sketch show.
Right.
And it's fucking funny. There's this one bit about a guy who like wears a toupee, and now he's afraid to go bald because like he doesn't want to go bald in one day because then people are gonna be like, was that a toupee yesterday? You piece of shit.
So he's trying to like
Fucking lie.
phase out the toupee.
It's
So there's,
very
like,
oh my
yeah,
god, it's very
it's so
extremist
stupid.
comedy. It's
Oh, yeah.
hilarious.
It's a bunch of sketches that were denied by SNL
I love that.
because this guy worked on SNL and they were just like too out there and too weird and very like
I love that.
aggressive. A lot of them. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah. Kelly, how the fuck are you? How was your week? How was your Thanksgiving?
Me.
I was gonna say I mentioned we had Chinese food for Thanksgiving. I totally forgot to talk about Thanksgiving. We had Chinese food. It was fucking great.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go. Kelly, how was your Thanksgiving and your week and stuff?
Thanksgiving was a little bit of like a kind of a downer, not because like it was really shitty or anything, but normally for me, my whole extended family gets together and we go up to my grandma's house and
Right.
have like a massive, feast that my grandma prepares and stuff. And the family chose to do like an outdoor Thanksgiving this year. So they set up like separate little like, my grandma's got like a big yard and they set up like separate little like tent pavilion thingies.
Each part of the
So for
family.
each like part of the family, yeah, there's like little family pods.
Each household.
Yeah, but even with that, we decided like not to go just because people are still pretty close and like the food was still kind of like buffet style and everything. So we decided to stay home. So there's like pictures of like the whole family who I haven't seen in ages and like even just like my immediate family and stuff, and they all got to see each other. So that was kind of a drag.
Yeah.
But my mom came over with a couple of my siblings just the other day, and like they stayed outside in social distance, but they were bringing over some pie.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I have some pie in the fridge, so that's pretty great. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Pie is good.
Yeah, pie is good. Week overall has just been kind of same old,
Yeah.
I've been doing a little bit more work on some video stuff. I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, gonna be getting a capture card and maybe even a PlayStation camera because I want to be able to start streaming on the PlayStation.
Hell yeah.
And basically, it was my birthday in March, like just before COVID lockdown, everything went crazy. And so a little while back, my stepdad was like, "What do you want for your birthday? Because we never got you a present." And so I just like didn't really say anything. But then just now I sort of realized like, oh, I could maybe try to like get a capture card or something. So I talked to him and then I mentioned like this one's more expensive, but this one's blah blah. And we were kind of going back and forth. And then he was like,
Yeah.
just pick the one you want. Don't worry about the price because your siblings have made out like bandits this year because I'm a sucker. So it's just gonna like, and at the end of my message, I was like, okay, I want this capture card. I need some micro SD cards for it because it's got like a PC free mode and stuff. And then
Which is so cool, like such a
Which
cool
is so
mode
cool.
on a capture card, yeah.
and then at the end of it, I was like, also this might be pushing it, but I could use a PlayStation camera. So I don't know if I'm gonna be getting one, but hopefully I will.
Hell yeah, man.
And things to be thankful for right now. I'm really thankful that my knee healing is going well.
yeah. I was gonna ask.
The other day, I was actually able to like take some garbage and like recycling and stuff down to our like garbage and recycling room.
Oh shit, hell yeah.
So I was able to like contribute to the household for the first time in like 6 months or whatever. It hasn't been that long. Has it been that long?
No, because
Not quite.
Your surgery was in June.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, what date is it?
Dude, I don't know.
Fuck, time has no meaning.
Yeah. But it's been a while is the point. And so I was able to actually feel like I contributed something and was a productive person.
Yeah, it's a big moment regardless. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is really cool. And like I can walk around now. I'm not like walking perfectly smoothly, but I can like go places without my crutch now, and I can
Nice.
realistically I can walk without the brace too, but it's just like a safety net.
Yeah. You don't want to overdo it. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, things are pretty good.
Do you feel like you can like use your home now? Like it's like you're like I can go to the washroom and I can like do things in the kitchen and like
Yeah,
it's not
I've been
a
able
big
to.
deal
I've been able to
anymore.
do that for a while. It's
Yeah.
more nice that I can like if we order food or something, I can go down and pick it up without having to like strap on the brace and get the crutch and like do a whole thing.
Yeah,
I can
I
just
can
kind of like walk
go down and answer the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Of course, we have an elevator because stairs are still a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
I can do them just really slowly.
Yeah, can you wait just like 40 minutes? I'll be right there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like I can't go
Yeah,
downstairs very
just-
effectively, but
You know, I just leave it. It'll be fine.
you know what? You know what? I changed my mind. Just take it back.
Oh shit, we just got raided by Jordan. 20
What's
people.
up?
Hey
Thank you,
everybody, welcome.
Howdy.
Howdy.
We're just talking about our week, and we had Canadian Thanksgiving. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We got a follower. We're
Well,
getting followers. And
I think we might be done with the ketchup,
we're
and
just
we can get into
we're
the
done that
meat
now. Yeah.
and potatoes.
the meat and potatoes of the situation.
That's offensive. I'm a vegetarian. Can
Kelly-
you say tofu and potatoes?
The tofu and eggplant of the situation.
Kelly, someone's been murdered, and it wasn't me in Among Us last night.
No, indeed. You know who it was? It was my boy Peter Parker. So I don't know how much you guys know about
What?
that. I don't know if you guys know anything about
Did
this.
you guys plan that setup?
No, man.
No, we didn't at all.
We super
Amazing.
Yes, chat. We are talking about Peter Parker's fucking face. We are definitely
yeah,
doing that.
I
right
know.
now.
I know we're a little bit behind on this, and I think we might have briefly mentioned it last week.
Mhm.
But I just think it's a really like weird and interesting topic.
It's unprecedented.
It's unprecedented, and it's a really interesting thing that happened in video games. So I just wanted to talk more about it. To lay the groundwork for anybody who's either watching us and doesn't know, or if you guys don't know the specifics, basically there was a face model for Peter Parker in the PS4 Spider-Man game that Insomniac made. I don't know the exact pronunciation of his last name, but his name's John Bubniak.
Cool.
He was basically what he did was they just did like a 3D scan of his face. And then Yuri Lowenthal, who did the vocal performance, also did motion capture. So any scene that's like with him with the mask off, that's like an actual like emotive cutscene. That's Yuri Lowenthal's
Thank you guys for all the
performance.
follows.
It's
That's
just
crazy.
been mapped onto
That's
John
nuts.
Bubniak's
Thank
face.
you.
Mhm.
And yes, I would be
They
careful.
unveiled that for Peter Parker's appearance in Miles Morales and for the remastered version of PS4 Spider-Man that's going to be coming to the PS5, as well as like the franchise moving forward, John Bubniak's face has been replaced as the facial capture model or the facial scan model for Peter Parker with a new model whose name is, I believe, Ben Jordan.
Right.
This has caused a bunch of people to totally freak out, obviously.
Well, yeah, of course.
And so I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, but before we dive into how you guys feel about it, I just want to state, for the record, the Geek Garden official position, these are both a couple of handsome men. Let's just get that out of the way right now.
They're both some good-looking guys.
These are some handsome lads. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that's very clear. These are a couple of Mr. Bubniak, Mr. Jordan. Good on you.
How many more winks?
Before we continue
Yeah.
here, I just want to say we just got like 5 or 6 new followers, and it's super sweet. And
Hey,
we're one
thank
follower
you.
away from 69.
Oh,
The funny sex
That's-
number.
Of course, salacious Sean Fabish would make that connection. God, you
Yeah.
salacious sex.
It was
fiend.
just a number, Sean.
It was just a number. What's your
Yeah,
problem,
it's just
man?
it's just a number
Be cool.
that happens to look like people doing it.
God.
God.
Sean, your brother just followed us. He wasn't following us before.
Yeah, why would he follow? We didn't have any followers. Like, he didn't. We weren't close to 69. He didn't want to be a part of it.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
There's very specific benchmarks. So yeah, anybody who wants to jump in with some thoughts, feelings, emotional reactions?
So when I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Like I was arguing for Sony. I was going like, okay, this makes sense, blah blah blah. To be honest, as time has passed, I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird decision. I don't really understand what the point was.
I should mention that they did make a statement on why they did the change. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yes, yes.
It's basically the idea is that as motion capture's moving forward, they're trying to like streamline the process for doing their mocap and their performance capture and everything, and that the new model's overall like facial structure and like bone structure is more similar to Yuri Lowenthal's, so that it's supposed to make the process of mapping one person's facial capture and movements onto a different person's actual face. It's supposed to make that process smoother and easier. and they released a statement basically saying that like they really liked John Bubniak and they liked working with him, but going forward they just thought that this was going to make the workload easier on them essentially.
I find it I find it personally, well, first off, I actually like, I think the old guy looks more like Yuri Lowenthal, which I thought was kind of weird because that was like part of their argument, is that the new guy has more facial. I mean, I don't know fuck dick all about like facial structure and like bone structure and stuff, but I just thought the first guy looked more like Yuri Lowenthal than the new guy does. Maybe that's just me. I have no idea. But I find it a weird move to make for not like for just a remaster.
Well, the
Like-
thing is that they're going to be going like their idea behind it was that that's going to be the face in Miles Morales and in like Spider-Man 2 and like
Right.
in the franchise. So when they're bringing this first game onto the new console, they kind of want to like make it all the same, right? Like you can still play
Right.
the PS4 version and it still has John Bubniak's face.
Yeah.
But their reasoning was that now like going forward, every game is going to have the same Peter Parker. So if you play the remastered version, you have a chance to basically see the same guy throughout the whole series.
I think to be honest, I just think it sucks. Like I understand why they did it, but I just think like I'm just thinking for, what's the first actor's name?
John Bubniak.
John Bubniak. Like I just feel bad for him because like now he's no longer gonna be that video game Peter Parker, and he did such a like, his face was perfect, and I fell in love with that Peter Parker. It was great. So it's just sad that now he's just not going to be affiliated essentially. And like almost like a retcon, right? Like they're just like, oh yeah, no, it wasn't him. What are you talking about? It was Tobey Maguire the whole time.
His face looked nothing like that. Look at your face. Then look at mine. You look like a bird.
Look like a bird. Yeah, it's just weird, and I feel like I personally think that like we're just entering the PS5. There's gonna be so many other games that I feel like, and obviously it's all about like trying to show the tech of the PS5 and being able to show how good of a console it is and how good the technology is. But I feel like they could have like, I don't know, waited for like the next game series and made sure they casted someone that was similar to the voice actor's face or like whatever. Right? It's a shame that they had to replace a character that was already loved with someone else. But I get it. It's one of those weird industry things where it's like they're just trying to like show off their tech, and it's like, well, to make it better, we got to do this, and
Yeah. But then not only that, think about the workload. Like I can't honestly begrudge them too much. Like, and the reason for that is like everyone knows how aggressive the crunch period is in video game like creation. So like with the workloads being what they are, and like, you know, if you can make something like 5% easier and it's gonna upset people, like, would you do it? Probably.
Yeah.
So like from a business and sort of like personal life style of those people who actually work on the games, like I get it. I totally understand. It sucks as a fan being like, oh, I connected with that character, with that face, and it's like an adjustment. They're really asking more of you, the sort of participant, the consumer, than they are of like themselves, which is fine. Like it's just like buy in or don't. But it's sad because I did really like his facial performance, which I know is Yuri Lowenthal, but it's his face. It's weird.
it's weird.
It's a weird
Like,
it's a weird thing.
like I don't feel too bad for him because all he like they pretty much probably just went in, mapped his face a bunch for a few days, and then he's like, hey, that's my face.
Yeah.
And that was like all that really happened.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were doing this until really recently. I didn't realize they were actually taking like real people and using them as models and then having actors stand in for the mocap.
Well, that's something that I find really interesting, right? Is that in video games, you have like a developer has the opportunity to just make a face. You can just make a face. You just make one up, make a face.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because theoretically they could have taken like the motion capture for Yuri Lowenthal, for example, and like he's older, he's not the age that Peter Parker is supposed to be.
Bye, Lauren.
But
Thanks for hanging out.
they could have theoretically taken the motion capture data and like scanned Yuri Lowenthal's face and then made a new younger face. But
Yeah,
like
'cause
with
that
the
tech
same
exists,
structure as
for
Yuri
sure.
Lowenthal, that's
Yeah.
a thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
And like I don't know the ins and outs and the particulars of it, and Sean connecting it to crunch I think is a really interesting take because that's something that we're all, you know, the whole industry is like, yeah, stop crunching your developers and like delay your game and take as much time as you need. But then when a studio made a choice that you again, like you said, even if it's only like a 5% decrease in workload, even if now they don't have to go in every cutscene and like tweak stuff because the motion capture like fidelity is just higher and like the render is more, and like maybe they started doing stuff with Mr. Bubniak's face and they just noticed like that looks weird and we didn't know that was going to be a problem, but now it's a problem, we have to fix it. Or maybe working on the first game, you know, they found like little hiccups that they weren't expecting when they first cast him because they hadn't done the work yet. Now they've done the work and they see that, but they're now trying to find a way to reduce the workload on their developers, and people are freaking out. Like people were sending like Brian Intihar, the creative director, like death threats.
Yeah, oh god, yeah. Well, people take all this shit so seriously.
Shit,
so seriously.
And like that's just unacceptable. Straight up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's not cool, man. Don't do that. And as a big Spider-Man fan and somebody who's like in different Spider-Man fan communities and stuff, I just got to say the Spider-Man fan base can be super toxic. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the first, like when the game first came out, it was like this amazing Spider-Man game, you know, everybody's loving it and stuff.
Yeah.
But people were sending them death threats because the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit wasn't in the game yet.
Yeah, which is so stupid. And then they did it. Which is like, which I was kind of like, you shouldn't have given them to him.
Yeah, I'm kind of like,
they didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
But like people lose their minds, and it's like, man, Peter Parker would be very.
I'd argue that like all the biggest fandoms are almost always the most toxic. I don't know. Why
I guess it's like the widest net you have.
Yeah, right. So like when you talk about
just more people who are shitty.
Yeah, like I'd argue in my opinion, the most toxic fan base is Star Wars. Like by
how dare you? I'll kill you.
How
dare you?
See, exactly.
Darth Revan for president.
But like ever since like any content has come out since the original trilogy, it's just been a fucking mess. Like just a mess. People are like sending George Lucas death threats. People are sending the actors death threats. Fucking telling them that they should fucking go kill themselves and like all kinds of shit. Right? The amount of people who have quit acting because of Star Wars, right? Both prequel trilogy and sequel trilogy is just it's fucking awful. It's so bad. It's so bad. And I've seen the same thing in like just like the generic DC fandom and the Marvel fandom, right? And then more specifically like Batman and Spider-Man, like some of the bigger heroes. Like it's fuck those guys.
Jack, you're more of like a casual fan of like superhero stuff. You don't get as like intense as I do, but you've played a lot of the games, you like the movies and stuff. How do you feel like generally about the face change for Peter Parker?
Honestly, it doesn't bug me as much. Like,
okay,
100%. It's like I understand why they did it because of more efficiently, which is like, yeah, I get it, man. I get it. Like, I'm not too big into really like details and everything about like especially a face. Like a face, come on, like that. Sure, that he was in the game for a while and then like people got used to him, whatever. But like if they changed him just because they needed to be more efficient, especially if we're making a game, they don't want to waste too much time into this one specific aspect of it, then I understand it. Like if it was a major part of the game, then okay, like that's probably a problem. But like it's only a minor detail, and I don't understand why people are mad about it. It's like,
yeah, like when you jump in, like one, Spider-Man's gonna be wearing his mask most of the time. Like let's just be honest. But like obviously Peter Parker, the character, is a big part of it, so I understand like the emotional reaction, but like mechanically the game's the same, like you're still web slinging and beating up bad guys and sticking them to walls and doing all that fun stuff.
I think we should all put our pitchforks to Schumacher for casting Val Kilmer as Batman instead of Michael Keaton. How fucking
yeah, dude.
Wait,
that's true.
What happened?
Like the original Batman movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Sean's like, Val Kilmer, what?
Yeah, like was Val Kilmer replacing like a new Batman that was supposed to be Michael?
Could you imagine there was like this weird thing where they're like doing like a Batman, but it's like an older Bruce Wayne, so like they cast Michael Keaton, and they're like, oh, actually no, we're casting Val Kilmer, and they're like, no, we're actually casting George Clooney.
Well, I think that's a rumor right now that
Well, I think Michael Keaton got cast for Flashpoint.
Yeah. That's my point. Is that like there's a rumor that he's going to be playing Thomas Wayne or something, who's like an older Batman, which would be so good.
It'd be dope.
I'd be so into it.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
What was I gonna say? I had a point. So Jack, you said you didn't understand it. Like I get why it's not easy to understand, but to play devil's advocate for the people who are really upset, I get it. It's a really compelling story. and the facial capture of Peter Parker, and we've all beat it, right? I can spoil the hell out of it right now.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
Full on spoilers right now.
Spoilers. But like the end moments of those games are so emotionally charged and very intimate that I imagine people grew really, really attached to those moments, to the point where like that face and that moment was so important to them that the idea of altering the performance in any way would really take them to like a weird place in their disillusionment. And like there's all these other shit that like starts to get put in there, like the disillusionment with this sort of digital age. And then you're like, how could you change my art, right? Like fuck, dude, you know? So
yeah, like you can have the reaction to it kind of like George Lucas with the Star Wars like re-releases, right? Where it's like you made a thing that was good and then you gave it to people and then you changed it after you gave it to them.
Yeah.
And it's like that weird, it starts to get into the weird like ownership of art territory where like, do you have a right as a creator to change the thing after you've released it? I argue that yes, but it's also kind of weirdly nuanced.
It is
it's not
situational.
Gonna be accepted for sure.
Yeah. Like death of the author is true in most cases, right? Like once you release a thing, you don't really own it anymore. Like for a book, for instance, once it's gone, it's out there and people read it and they replace this sort of visualization of your character with their own and they play their own.
And yet there are like second printings and revisions and like
absolutely
right, you get like a novel that has scenes changed or things tweaked because the author realized they didn't like them that way or whatever. And so it's really interesting. And this is just like a new version of that we've never really seen before, especially on something such a big scale.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd love to. Sorry, I was just gonna jump in.
I just want to let Sean finish his thought there.
Oh, sure,
Sorry. The whole thought was like, yes, there are revisions and everything, but that single individual who witnessed the first version might not know those revisions ever get released, right? So they might continue that sort of individual idea of the thing, and it really does become like Theseus's ship, right? You've just replaced the mast with a new mast, and mechanically the story is the exact same, but there's details changed. But several people are just never going to know that, and they're still living on the old Theseus's ship with the old mast, and that's fine for them. So like, yes, you as an author could change your work, but you can't really change it for everyone. So all you do is really kind of clone your work differently.
Yeah,
it's strange.
I wonder if, and I'd love to talk about this in like another podcast because I know Jack hasn't beaten the game, but I'd be curious if like these people who are upset about the face change there's like a Venn diagram crossover with the people who are upset with certain characters in The Last of Us Part 2. I just wonder if that same kind of like, you're changing like the thing that I loved and like how dare you kind of a thing, right? And
the outrage cry group.
Yeah. How dare you take that away from me? Kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a different scenario, but I see where there would be overlap, right?
Yeah.
The Spider-Man thing is more of like on a meta level.
Yeah, and the Spider-Man thing is also like, it's super weird because at the end of the day, it's gonna be the same like mocap and voice, which is
that's
just
the thing
strange.
Too. I did see a lot of people, being upset because they didn't fully understand what was actually happening, and they were like, they said that like John Bubniak gave like a great emotional performance, and like that's not what happened.
True.
He didn't actually give a performance, right? It's like a picture of his face slapped on Yuri Lowenthal's performance.
It's a 3D picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they took his head and put it there, and that's it.
And I just think that's worth noting. And something else that I find interesting as a personal take is that when they first revealed Peter Parker, like when we first saw him for the PS4 game originally, way back in whatever E3 that was. I think the first image of him was him sitting having a chat with MJ at the diner, I think.
Yes. I think so.
And when I first saw it, I remember going like, that doesn't look like Peter Parker. That's weird. That's not how I feel about Peter Parker. But then I played the game, and I played the game again, and I've played the game several times, and I love that game, and it is my favorite version of Peter Parker. And now, like that face, I'm like, yeah, man, that's Peter Parker, 100%. For sure, that's the best Peter Parker, because I got used to it, and I went through, like you were saying, Sean, I went through all these moments with him, and obviously Yuri Lowenthal's voice and performance is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, especially when he's wearing the mask and stuff.
That
But
handsome
just
face.
the association that I have now with that voice and that face, right? Like if I hear Yuri Lowenthal's voice, I picture John Bubniak's face
Yeah.
It's
as
strange.
Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And
So do
yeah,
I,
it's
yeah.
just a weird thing. And now, there's gonna be this weird disconnect where I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's Peter Parker. I know who that is. And then he's gonna like take the mask off, and I'm gonna go, right.
Yeah.
He's different now.
It
Got it.
it is an instinctual, like, base human lizard brain thing that's gonna be just
Yeah.
almost impossible to overwrite. You can't take someone's voice and slap it on someone's face, right? That's why we're so impressed, I think, generally by impressionists. Because, like, when they do it, we're like, holy shit, that's the voice, right? And it's
You're
that
him,
same
wow.
thing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like that, where you're kind of watching a magic trick, but you're waiting for the reveal, like the prestige. You're like, when is it coming? Like, I know that this is an impression. Like, and it's just something in your brain that you're just not going to be able to really 100% see through. Obviously, people with different levels of disbelief are just
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief are going to be able to get there, but
Yeah, and I think I suspect that after playing it, and then after playing Miles, and like playing the eventual sequel that's going to come out, like I have full confidence that eventually my lizard brain will like figure it out and like start to associate this new face with the voice and like get used to it. But it's definitely like there's definitely going to be like an emotional, visceral reaction because humans are hardwired. Except like there are people who can't do this, and that's like a genuine condition. But for the most part, humans are hardwired to associate a face and a voice, right?
Yeah,
like if you hear a friend on the telephone, you can picture them talking to you without even trying. You just kind of do it. And I think I understand why people are upset, but I think people also need to like realize that like it's a video game and we need to kind of calm down a little bit here.
Yeah, it's like it's a video game. It was a lie in the first place. Like, chill.
they were cheating you.
It wasn't real the first time. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And like Brian Intihar, the creative director, like he clearly understands Peter Parker, and he clearly understands this world and this mythos and what makes him both compelling and appealing to like billions of people. So I think we also need to have a little faith that he's not just doing this on a lark. Like he has a plan. He knows he was responsible for helping John Bubniak be Peter Parker in the first place. Like,
I trust the team that's like doing this kind of a thing. Yeah, no.
They didn't get handed Spider-Man PS4 and then start going, oh, how can we mess this up? Like they built that in the first place.
We fucked this one.
Yeah.
So
I have I am playing.
Every time I hear like John DiMaggio's voice, all I see is Marcus Phoenix. Right? Like that's just
shit. Or Bender.
Or Bender.
Or Bender.
I'm more familiar with Marcus Phoenix, but
or Joker.
He voiced Joker in the Under the Red Hood animated film.
Did.
Yeah. He did a good job on it actually. It's a
or
very
Jake the dog.
throaty Jake the dog, yeah. From Adventure Zone, Adventure Time. God damn it.
Yeah.
One of the adventure things.
Adventure.
I wonder how long they've been doing this kind of like real life model for a person in a video game, because the first time I ran into it was I discovered the model for Dina in Last of Us Part 2. I discovered her YouTube channel. And she was doing a playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2, and then I was watching it and I was like, wait, but she didn't do Dina. That was what's her face. And like I knew who the voice actress was who did Dina, and I was like, what? Wait, what? They like used her face and her body? Like what the heck? It was so strange because like Joel doesn't like exist, and like Ellie doesn't exist. I know Ellie was like kind of modeled after Ellen Page, but like she's not a real human, this person, right? So I was like, who of these characters is a real human?
Why?
Why?
Some and not others, right? I think there's I suspect that it speeds up the process, right? Being able to do a scan versus
Being a whole
versus having to like construct a face.
Once you have the software and the hardware to like do the fucking scan, it's like, yeah, okay, we bit the bullet and bought the big machine, but now that we can do that, shit's just like faster.
The thing that I find interesting is like myself as like a creative type, obviously not working in video games, but I personally, my go-to reaction would be that I would want to handcraft and create like the lead characters and like characters that are really important to the franchise, but would then want to like rely on maybe some of that scanning technology to fill in secondary or tertiary characters because that's quicker. But I'd really want to like own and have like precise control over like my lead characters, right? Like if I was in charge of Spider-Man, I would want to like make Peter Parker so that I could make him look exactly like I want Peter Parker to look, and I have control of that. And there can't be any like scandal where like the guy who did the face of Peter Parker is like caught in a drug trafficking ring, and now my Peter Parker is so it's like none of that can happen. I made Peter Parker. He's a fake person. I own him. But then like sure, the pedestrian you save or this person or that person or whatever, like
I own him.
Faces.
He's mine.
So I just find that interesting too. That again, like it probably does save time, but I would think that there are places where investing the time into building the face would be worth it.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not in the industry.
And I
my
think
gut
that
reaction.
Yeah, and I think that happened by default in Last of Us because like obviously they had to create Joel and Ellie for the first one. So when they did the second one, it's like, okay, well, you know, our main characters essentially already have models. But it seems like I'm going to assume that most of the new cast. Actually, I don't know if I don't think what's her face, Laura Bailey's character,
Abby.
I don't think Abby was a real person, but I could be wrong. I have no idea.
I know there was like a model for her, at least physically, because I've seen like comparison shots of like the woman who did her like body scan and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know about her face. I'm not sure about the face.
Yeah, that would make sense because she was a fucking truck, and like they wanted to get someone fit to like, yeah, goddamn, what a beast. Yeah, so and obviously I think this is where I think we're going to start seeing more of a split between like these kind of like the games that aim to be kind of like photorealistic and like aim to be like interactive movie is a bad way to say it, but to create the amount of realism that it can feel like you're in a film with real actors and real people, but then it's still like obviously a very interactive medium and like feel like a video game. But then there'll obviously be games where like you can't do that because it's just fucking like wild and cartoony and stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I'm not really sure what the end goal would be with that kind of choice.
Yeah, like I think it's gonna be on like a case by case basis, right? Like whatever's right for the team, and like just what they think is right for a given project.
Thank you, Greedy the Third, for
like another Sony exclusive, Uncharted. Obviously, Nathan Drake as a character was created way before any of the scanning technology and stuff, so that he has like a look. Yeah. And then there was apparently there's apparently a bit of a controversy when Uncharted 4 was coming out. I didn't know this because I wasn't like in the community for Uncharted 4, but they like changed his look a little bit, but it was more of just like updating it and making him look a bit more like a real person. But he's like a fictional created person, right? Like they made up Nathan Drake. His face is fake. Yeah. But he still looks like a real guy. Like he's photorealistic in Uncharted 4. Yeah. It's just like you can't go out and meet the person.
Yeah, it's weird because I guess the other thing I was gonna say is that like I haven't really noticed a difference, and maybe because I'm just a fucking idiot, I haven't really noticed a difference between the performances of actual people characters versus like the rendered characters, right? Like I don't think that Dina's performance is any better in Last of Us than Joel's. Kind of a thing, right? So I haven't really seen that kind of that if there is one yet, like a difference. I haven't seen that at all yet. And the other thing I was going to mention was, did any of you like notice a change or see a positive difference in that reveal video of the new Peter Parker?
Honestly, not much of one. It's, to be fair, it's not a super emotive scene that they chose to show off.
Yeah.
And the lighting is different too. Like there's a lot of other factors because they're using new lighting and stuff. And like they have like ray tracing enabled and stuff on the remaster. So I think it was in some ways a poor showcase. But I also think that a lot of the reason they've done it, like they said, is more on the back end. Like I don't know how much we're really gonna see because it wasn't like we've said, it wasn't like John Bubniak's face wasn't like capable of using the motion capture performance to generate like an interesting performance that we finally see.
Yeah.
But it just seems like they were running into bumps along the way to getting there behind the scenes that they're trying to smooth out. So I don't know if we would necessarily see a difference, especially when they're talking about how facial capture is going to change for next gen, which we just don't know yet. Like, this is a decision that I don't think is going to really pay off for Insomniac even until Spider-Man 2, which is like, because Miles Morales is on the next gen console, but it's also a PS4 game.
Yeah.
So I think this is just them kind of future-proofing themselves, and like the degree of the fidelity of the motion capture, supposedly by the time we get to Spider-Man 2, I think is what they're sort of preparing for now.
Yeah. 2 points. One, Alessandro just followed us. Jack
Shit! Hey man.
Alessandro's in the chat. So hi, Alessandro. Thanks for joining, buddy. No, the other thing was that like Sean, I never would have thought of it as a workload thing. Like that was like really smart. Like I don't think I would have thought about that, but that totally makes sense. That the fact that they're kind of gearing up to do Spider-Man 2, and they're probably like, okay, this game's gonna be bigger, it's gonna be longer. We do not want to fucking make all those little minor adjustments again, because fuck that. That's gonna like fucking put the game to like 2023 or some bullshit. Right, so they're like, okay, let's what can we do? Oh yeah, okay, we got this new machine now. Let's hire a new actor that's got some more better bone structure to match Yuri, and then it'll be super easy. Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but that's probably what it is, 100%.
Yeah, and it's worth stating that, like, because that's what they've said it's about, right? We just don't know the specifics of that, but they did say it was about making the work easier. Yeah. But it's worth stating that while Insomniac themselves have been around for a long time, this is really their first foray into trying to get like really good photorealistic, like emotional performance capture and human characters. They did Sunset Overdrive, but that was like a wacky kind of cartoony whatever. It wasn't about like
Tony
the emotional
Hawk Pro
heart.
Skater dude was like really
and so did Insomniac do Tony Hawk?
Tony Hawk, yeah, they did Insomniac did, because Insomniac did the original Spider-Man games too for the PlayStation.
No, that was Neversoft.
Oh, it was Neversoft. Right, I thought it was Insomniac. Yeah. No, Insomniac did Ratchet and Clank. And I think there's something else I'm thinking.
There's something else as well that I can't remember.
For some reason, I was getting
Spyro.
Yes, Spyro.
They did the original Spyro.
Yeah, they didn't do the remaster, but yeah, they did.
No.
The original. Yeah.
So like they've been in the game for a long time, but this particular like narrative thrust they were trying to accomplish is new for them. So I 100% can believe that, because it's worth noting that there's a bunch of people who think that it's like some weird conspiracy theory that like Marvel asked them to hire a new face model who like looks like Tom Holland and like all this weird stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
He doesn't look any more like Tom. Like he's got shorter hair and he looks maybe a tad younger, but that's the first time I saw him in like some stills, I definitely saw like a resemblance to Tom Holland, but from other angles, he doesn't look like anything like him. And I think it's just like a weird lighting and angle thing. Yeah. Some people also feel like he looks too young, which I think is a fair debate, but that's something they can fix. Yeah. Because they specifically sold this Peter as like, he's been Spider-Man for 8 years, he's older, he's an adult, he knows what's up, and then this guy looks like... And the thing is, the model doesn't look super young, but something about how he's rendered in the game looks really young, and I think that's just, the lighting and the new rendering technologies and stuff.
Soft cheekbones.
Yeah. But like I was saying, this is the first time Insomniac has done this, and I totally can believe that they legitimately just didn't foresee certain problems because they've never worked with this level of motion capture before, and they were like, oh, this is awkward, this is a bit more complicated than we thought. We need to go back to the drawing board.
Really cool, thank you.
So
it is a shame because I think the new face looks quite younger, and from the stills that I've seen, he looks a little Tom Hollandy. And I just enjoy, like, from a just a pure personal opinion, I really enjoyed the first actor's face.
It's a good face.
I don't know, man. It's a good face. They're both good faces, but I think if you're trying to sell a mature, scientific Spider-Man, he's a good, like, they had good instincts when they casted his face.
Totally. Yeah, when he's in that lab doing shit, you're like, you look like you know what you're doing. Yeah, all right, I trust you.
Your face.
You're a science boy.
Science.
It's written all over it.
Yeah.
But then they replaced his face because of science.
Oh my god, sorry, Jack. I just realized is that like the page for Ghost of Tsushima Legends? Is that what's open right now?
What? I don't
You
know.
son of a bitch.
What a
I want to play that
bastard.
so bad. I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. It looks like it's some kind of like multiplayer thing. He's like in a lobby, and I just clued in because it's like kind of grainy, so I can't quite tell. And I just realized what it is, and I'm very upset now.
Are we all free tonight?
No.
Oh, dude, all I'm doing is playing Ghost of Tsushima today.
All I'm doing is playing Ghost.
Sean,
I
what are
have-
you doing?
Stellaris at 6. I've got to make
Dude,
sure that my goats
legends.
defeat the Praetorian Scourge. Oh my
Sean,
god.
Okay, chat.
Yeah,
Well, we're gonna be streaming Ghost of Tsushima without Sean tonight.
I'll be on later.
no, no, you're out. Sorry.
Okay.
No, you're
whatever, fine.
Destiny,
Fine.
so
Geek Garden, where 3 friends hang out.
fine.
Have a good time.
3 friends.
But yeah, if I can sum up,
Me, myself, and
new Peter Parker is still a handsome man.
Good
Yep.
looking boy. Better looking than me.
Trust
Yep.
trust Insomniac because they made the first game and they know what they're doing.
Yep.
None of us who are complaining know how motion capture actually works or what the pipeline is like or what kind of hell development is. So let's let them do what they're gonna do because they're the professionals.
I would love to revisit this again with John. I think it'd be really, really cool to revisit this topic with someone
As
who's
well.
actually professionally done some mocap and stuff. I think it'd be really interesting.
I would enjoy that.
we
and
could
also don't send Brian into hard death threats because he's a super cool
Yeah,
dude.
because
And also just don't do that
He
to anybody.
gave you the first game, which got you so riled up to send death threats in the first place.
Yeah.
Art by committee doesn't work. Leave him alone.
The man knows.
That man was so important to me. I'm gonna send him death threats because he changed something.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not cool.
Chill.
Sean, that really worked with the red lighting in your face.
Yeah, I'm here.
What are you paying now?
One day. Ah, burn. There's a
For
running gag.
you.
For you. There's a running gag in our Stellaris game. Like, I'll do a trade with someone, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a good trade." I'll be like, "For you." I don't know why. I quote Bane at least once a night.
Was that a shitty trade for you, Sean? I don't understand.
For me, yes, because I'm a political genius. That's literally all I try. I literally gave people so many favorable trade deals because I was trying to push through this like charter of workers' rights for the galaxy in our Stellaris game, and I kept giving people like thousands of energy for like nothing, essentially.
Oh my God.
Be like, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. So it's super illegal, but like I got it pushed through. So
Hey man,
Fair
who says
enough.
it's illegal?
I just had a fun idea for a little segment that I think could be a recurring bit here that we're gonna do.
Sure.
And right now it's gonna be tentatively titled Avengers Assemble, where
Okay.
I, as the corporate shill that I am, who still occasionally plays Avengers, I'm going to inform you guys of what's going on in the game and what updates are being made.
Okay. Interesting.
live
Okay.
live on the podcast because you guys have basically given up, which is 100% fair. And I'm just gonna get your reactions because I think it's funny.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is like there's some minor stuff, there's some major stuff. I don't know how much you guys know, but we're gonna go from here.
To just kind of like sum it up, Sean never bought Avengers. Myself, Jack, and Kelly bought Avengers. Sean has played a little bit of it. Quite a bit.
I didn't get through the story.
Yeah.
I
But
didn't
Jack,
even finish.
Kelly, and I all bought the game day one, as well as some other friends of ours. And it's fun, but it's missing a lot of content. It's buggy, whatever, right? So, unfortunately, I think a lot of us have stepped away from it, unfortunately. And I think, Kelly, you've been playing it the most still. And Jack, you're on there sometimes.
Jack
but not
occasionally as well,
really.
yeah.
And Benny sometimes or whatever. But it's been pretty underwhelming, unfortunately, and I'm sad because I personally, I don't want to go on this forever, but like, I to be honest, when the game released, I was still kind of like, okay, but I wanted to play it with you, Kelly, so I bought it, and I was like, I want to play this game with you, and I'm just sad it just wasn't any more fun past the core content, which there wasn't a lot of. But anyways,
Well,
yeah, so
for-
I don't have any updates.
For reference, if anybody ever, for any reason, at any time, ever, at all, even a little bit, for any
For any
reason,
reason.
For any reason at all?
decides or has like the slightest inkling of like maybe I'll play, like text me if you want to play Avengers. Let me know, because like it's I occasionally have fun to log on, just do the dailies, not because they're fun, but because I'm trying to keep like my characters roughly leveled so that when there is new content, I don't then have to like level everybody up and like do a bunch of shit.
The worst shit, yeah.
Because that's the worst.
Destiny,
But
I'm looking
it's
at you.
That's how they get
100%.
you.
It's 100% more fun to just like use it as a social excuse to like hang out. Like the game isn't designed in a way where you need a bunch of coordination, unfortunately, but it's still fun to just log in with friends and beat up a bunch of robots.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like, that core idea is fun. So if anybody's kind of like, oh, I kind of want to play as Thor right now, just like let me know. I'll
I do
drop
feel
in,
that
play a couple
sometimes.
missions. Anyway, so here's some fun stuff. One, you can run in outposts now.
I did see that.
Okay.
Weird.
So
A
like
weird
the hub
addition.
areas.
Yeah,
Thank
you
fuck.
can run in those now. That's a small thing.
There's
There
so-
are outposts. So there were two outposts in the main game. There's the Helicarrier and there's the Anthill. Each one has like a daily faction like mission giver,
Yeah.
and the missions are just like go defeat this many robots or like whatever. Now, originally you had to go to the individual places, so you'd have to like go pick up your dailies, go to the war table, select the location, load the mission, go in, go drop off, go talk to them. Now there's a
Yeah.
computer terminal at each outpost that represents each other outpost.
Yes.
You can pick up all your daily
Fucking
assignments from one
God.
spot.
Oh my god, that was the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'd get on, I'd be like, I'm not gonna get the other ones. I don't want to go to the anthill. I don't want to go to the anthill and get the other ones. Fine. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit enough to load
Yeah.
the other goddamn map to get the other ones.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay, well I'm glad they fixed that.
So they fixed that. They also just added a new outpost in preparation for the story content that's going to be coming out later. It's
Okay.
called Shield Substation Zero, and it's like Maria Hill has like found and like reopened this like old like shield base essentially.
Okay.
So some people have moved there, and that's where like I think it's going to be the jumping off point for like the Kate Bishop story DLC. Side note: Kate Bishop has officially been bumped to November. I don't know if you knew
Aw.
this, Jack, but she's not coming out in late October now.
I didn't even know we had a date for them.
It was supposed to be late October and then Clint sometime in November. We don't have like an official date for Clint yet, but Kate has been moved out of October.
Interesting.
Basically because they're trying to fix stuff. If you log in between October 20th and November 4th or something like that, they're giving away like enough free credits for a legendary skin and a nameplate, free units and some upgrade modules and stuff, basically as a like thanks for sticking with us kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is genuinely like you can debate all day about how the game didn't launch in like a good enough state, but the fact that they are going like, yeah, it wasn't in a good enough state. Here's like, because they're giving away the stuff that's like genuine currency too, like the stuff you can buy with real money. They're giving away like some of those as well as the free currency. So I genuinely think that's like a show of good faith, and like we know it wasn't great. They added new mission types.
Oh, you sigh. What's up?
What inanimate objects do you punch?
Well, okay.
How many?
It's all the same enemies. They
Give
didn't add
me
any
the
new
number.
enemies.
No, what? No, I mean like what terminals on a wall do you punch?
Well, here's the thing. They're called tachyon rifts because
Holy
they're,
shit! Time
they're
travel.
these like time anomalies. And the Avengers are people who genuinely have fought time travelers and have traveled through time and space and done crazy stuff, right?
Destiny and Avengers crossover.
When you start a tachyon, the first tachyon rift mission, you have to have two players, by the way. They're supposed to require two players, which actually makes sense because Jack and I did one, and trying to do one of those solo would suck. The basic premise is you're constantly taking damage, but your heroics are charging faster, and there's a time limit, but you need to pass through these little like tachyon portal rift thingies to like get your time back. So it's basically a time trial mode, which is totally fair. Time trial modes can be fun, you know, they're like a way to do whatever. When you do the first one, the shield agent who's watching it, it's Agent Morales, she's like, you may find yourself reliving some of your past experiences or reliving whatever, or going through your past or whatever. And then it's literally just missions you've already done, including like the narrative and voiceover. Like Kamala and Hank Pym are like talking about stuff that's already happened in the environment you already did it, but now it's a time trial.
Just make new actual content.
Yeah. So now, just to be clear, we have the setup that
Stop.
AIM.
Wait, is Sean gonna come in here? Wait.
No, I'm not.
You motherfucker.
So, just to be clear now, in a game where people feel like they recycle too much content and there's not enough new stuff, at this point, they have established that AIM is cloning villains and they have cloning labs. That's like how they justify doing the villain sectors with the same 2 bosses over and over again.
No!
And now the time trials are explained as literally you reliving events that have already happened through like some weird time anomaly.
It's like a bad magic trick, right? They're like, ooh, look at this. Now it's gone. They're like, no, it's behind your hand, you fucking dumbass. Like, we all know how to fucking, like, they're trying to put up this illusion that, like, they're like, no, there's lore and we know what we're talking about and it's fine. We don't have the same repetitive shit over and over again. Ugh. That actually bugs me more. I'd rather them just be like, yeah, like, we gotta make more content. Sorry. Like, we made more content, but they're cloners.
Cloners from cloners.
Yeah, so not only do you only have basically Taskmaster and Abomination to fight in the villain sectors, they also you're not even fighting them, you're fighting like a bunch of clones of them over and over again in like the lore.
It's
Like
whatever.
I just think it's bad to draw attention to the repetitive nature of
Exactly.
your, like, game
Oh.
in the lore. Like, I think that's kind of a bad move. Like in Destiny, I think there's one raid that makes sense that you do it every week because, like, that's the point of it. Like, he's invited you as a challenge and then you kill him and you realize he was a robot body and he has a million robot bodies as you, like, go, and you're like, oh, that's neat because we do this strike all the time and that's the point of it. Like, he's like, hey, come back, get fat from strength.
That's fine because it sounds like they designed something and knew it was going to be repetitive because it was going to be a repeatable thing. So they went, hey, how can we, like, imply that this is kind of like a cool setup for a character or something? But this one, they, like, had repetitive content and then they went, yeah, it's a clone. Yeah, it's a clone.
I think it's clone.
And it's worth noting that the first, like, end game they're introducing, there was a big, like, update blog post today that was basically like, this is where the game's at, these are the things we're working on, these are some things that are coming out soon, etc., etc. And the first they're calling them Omega level threats is going to be like a new tier for like late game content, and that's going to be like the umbrella term. If a mission is an Omega level threat, it might be a different kind of mission or whatever, but you're supposed to need like a full party of like fully leveled heroes, 4 players. It's like the end game multiplayer content.
Right.
And the first one of those that's coming out are the AIM cloning labs.
Oh god. Oh.
And apparently people have said that they accidentally got access to them because there have been like Tachyon rifts accidentally dropped before they were supposed to. There's been some things that have gone live ahead of schedule. Apparently, according to rumors and leaks, the AIM cloning labs end with just like, now you fight 3 abominations at once.
How is that fun?
I don't know how genuine that is, but that's like, the fact is that's believable, so that's the state of the game right now.
Like,
It's weird how much of a clone this feels like Anthem. It's strange. It's really strange.
Yeah,
like, live service games are really, really, really hard. Like, I remember everyone having these problems when Destiny first came out, and it's like a problem because you're trying to create a foundation in which you can repeat content easily and, have people fund for years, right? It's like, hey, this is our piggy bank. We're going to spend all the money and it's going to be a 5-year project. So they're almost better to get in on like 2 years after their release because they're just better games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have more content. There's end game stuff. Like, there's actual things that people want to do. It just feels like an early access version of the game that's live, and they kind of just trick you every time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, it just feels bad. And like, that's what I felt like when I was playing it. So I was just like, I'm just I know it's going to be the same content. I don't really enjoy the content loop. Like, there's not very many mechanics I can really engage with beyond level my hero up and get new abilities. And once that's done, it's done.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go play a game that's like that, but has the foundation already laid, so I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd
Like,
argue it's a problem with like publishers pushing release dates with games, but it's weird that we're now seeing, especially with AAA titles, this like repeat of like a game being released that's not finished, but having a community that's so engaged and loyal that they're willing to stick around for it to like get better. But then every time it gets to that point where like this game is arguably like a good game now, it gets dropped like really shortly after. Right? Like the same thing happened with Battlefront 2, where Battlefront 2 was obviously like a fucking disaster on release. And then they took like the next like 2 to 3 years and fucking filled that thing with content. Yeah, maybe it wasn't the same game for everybody, the great game for everybody, but like the amount of content that was in the game at the end was nuts. The amount of game modes, the amount of maps, the amount of different classes you had, and customization, and the way they had changed everything so like everything was accessible to every player. All the new heroes, like everything, the adjustments they made to make heroes feel better and turn guys feel better. And then literally it got to that point, and then it was like, oh hey, we're dropping development in 2 months.
Yeah.
And now no one plays that game. The game's dead.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well,
so
the
what
thing
was the
that's-
point? It was just really weird, right? Like,
The
it's
thing that's
strange.
weird with stuff like that for me is that like I would rather return to a time where like games aren't live service games, right? Like they just release the game, they do a couple patches to find things that aren't working, but like the content is just there. And it's interesting that developers have and publishers have almost created this new expectation where like you talk about how Battlefront 2 they dropped support and then the game died, but like there was a time when they would just release the game and then people would play it for however long they wanted to play it. But because of the expectations of live service games, now once the developer is no longer making new content, it doesn't feel like it's worth playing, even though we used to just play games. They came out and they were done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this really weird thing where they've changed the expectations. And I think that if something like Avengers, for example, which obviously is going to draw comparisons to live service games like Destiny and Anthem, but also to other superhero games like Spider-Man or Batman.
Yeah.
And we know, for one, people are mostly playing it for the Avengers license, right? Like if this game had come out and it was basically the same game, but it wasn't the Avengers, like I would have no interest in it because I don't care about live service games. I don't care about looters.
Yeah.
And the game is basically living off of its license. And like that's fine. I've played a lot of superhero games in the past where basically the only thing they had going for them was that it was kind of fun to jump around as a certain hero. That can sustain a game for a while. But there's so much they can do with the Avengers, and it feels like they held back to then have stuff to release. Where if they just done like a really full game, and like had multiple villains and had like a longer story, and then they could have realized what else they could have done beyond that. Like take Spider-Man as an example. They could have done that as a live service game where you only fight Mr. Negative, and then they released other villains and like expansions and stuff, and then eventually you get to like whatever final boss or whatever, and they add more stuff, and then you go through the stuff that's going to be in Miles Morales, and that's all in the game too, and they go through the stuff that's going to be in Spider-Man 2, and that was all in like this one package as well. But instead they just released a full game, right? And there was DLC, but they released a full game.
How dare they?
If Avengers had at least enough for there to be like a villain per Avenger, like the Marvel Universe and the Avengers have so many villains and so many places they could go.
Oh my god, yeah.
They could have had at least 6 villains and still had so much more to add later.
Yeah.
Like there's always with the Marvel Universe, there's always going to be more you can add, but it feels like they had a plan for a full game. And then we're like, oh, we have to do this as a live service, so we have to rip out like 3/4 of it and then drip feed that stuff later. Whereas if they just done that, they could have then gone, oh my God, now we can also do this. Oh my God, now we can also do this. And build on the framework of a base game as opposed to pulling it out to turn the base game into a live service model.
Yeah. Like when, again, we don't know anything about video game publishing other than just from other people's mouths, right? Because we don't work in video games, but like I don't understand why more of these games are designed to like have a full release, the fully playable game that is expected to have a lifespan of a full game when it comes out, right? So then when you want the game to last longer, you kick in the live service at like 8 months to a year. right? When the game starts dying and the fan, you go, hey, guess what? Here's more fucking story. Hey, guess what? Here's a fucking new character to play as, right? Like, it just sucks that these games are being released with the intention to be a live service almost immediately. Like, it's just weird, and it's like, well, I feel like that doesn't hook your audience enough because they start playing the game, they finish the content, they're gonna finish the content before you have your first thing out, and they're gonna get bored and walk away, which is exactly what we did. This is exactly what happened with Avengers and Anthem
And like,
and whatever else.
some people will come back when new characters are dropped.
Not enough, though. I'd argue not enough.
But not enough.
Right.
Like, not enough. 100%. Like, you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And it's just not where it needs to be. And the fact that, like we were saying, so much of even like the lore in the game at this point is built around justifying why you're doing the same stuff over and over again.
So silly.
It doesn't feel like they had a really solid plan on how to meld the Avengers IP with a live service.
Yeah.
So they just kind of went, well, like, what do other live services do? And did that. And it doesn't really work, especially when, Sean, like you were saying, like Destiny has a good framework now, and people have brought up both Destiny and Diablo as a framework for how to do good loot. Because these lessons have been learned by the industry and by the player base already.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are jumping in and they're having certain problems with the game, and they're like, I know how to fix this, not because I'm a developer, but because I went through this same problem with another game, and I know what those developers did, and it worked and it fixed it. So why are we still having those growing pains?
Yeah, like why are we treading water we've already tread as as an industry?
Yeah, like third person, like any game now basically just knows the left stick is to move and the right stick is for camera, and you just do that. But there were a lot of games that didn't do that initially because they were trying to figure out the best way to do a 3D game. But now we know that's the best way to do a 3D game. And it's the same thing with this live service stuff, right? It's like, we've had the growing pains. Why does the industry refuse to learn those lessons when other developers have had these exact same problems repeatedly?
Yeah, like, did you not see Anthem? Did you not see Battlefront 2? Like, did you miss those? Because I feel like everyone in the fucking gaming industry knows about those fucking games. So,
yeah,
I don't know what's happening, right? That's weird.
I think it's really just a system and a pressure, right? There's this pressure to get the game out. There's a pressure to make it live service. And then once they did make it live service, they're like, okay, well, we got to have content right away. Like, how long has Avengers even been out? 2 months?
Not quite 2 months.
Yeah, and they're already having new content come out in, like, what, 2-3 weeks? Like, it's kind of insane to me that, like, I even think, like, Destiny, when Destiny 1 came out, because I was there for the Destiny 1 in 2015, 2014. When Destiny was released, Vault of Glass wasn't out, the raid, the end game, right? It came out, I think, 2 weeks after the game, because, like, by then most people had done all the content. They'd engaged with the PvP, they'd engaged with all the PvE. They're like, okay, now what's the thing? So they're like, hey, it's coming, the Vault of Glass, the thing we've been teasing, it's out. And then I think 4 months after that, they released the next expansion. Yeah. So there was like a good period of time where there was like this lull where they were just working on the next piece of content. They weren't planning this content before the game was released, right? Or if they were, it was near the end of release.
Yeah. It
wasn't like, okay, we're gonna take out this piece of content and put it in later.
Yeah, I'm sure they were planning it in the sense of like, we know what that's gonna be, like, conceptually. Yeah. And the thing is, right, you've got different teams working on any given game. And so when some people are like really crunching on something, other people have like nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can have people working on art assets for a thing that doesn't have any mechanics yet because like, oh, the guys who are like fine tuning how this thing works are fine tuning how this thing works, and the thing we're going to drop in 3 months, like, oh, we can start conceptualizing that over in this department or whatever. But yeah, it just feels really sloppy in a lot of ways. And I was talking about this with Jack when we were playing too. When you first go to Substation Zero, Maria Hill says like, oh, we need to it's time for us to meet face to face kind of thing. But there's a mission in the game, one of the villain sectors or one of the side missions or whatever it is, where you like defeat an enemy and then Maria Hill shows up and arrests them. So you've seen Maria Hill in person already. Yeah. And they have this thing in Substation Zero where she's like, it's time for us to finally meet face to face. And it's like, she's like, oh, like, it's good to see you finally. It's been too long, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like, We talked to her in the base game. We saw her in person.
I think it's when you beat Taskmaster.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
there's this other thing where you do one of the villain sectors where you have to fight like the giant robot thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That doesn't narrow it down.
You come up and they talk about like, oh, this thing activated after we attacked the arc reactor. But that mission doesn't involve attacking the arc reactor. That's not in that mission. I was like, that's not a thing we did. And it's just like that's a thing that happens in some objectives, but that doesn't happen in that mission, and it just feels like really weirdly sloppy all over the place, where it's like the people making the game don't really know what the game is or what happens in the game.
It's not a lot of cross communication between teams, like the writing teams just writing stuff.
Yeah.
And then it got cut and put into a different part of the game, and
things
mission...
change, but like part of working on a project is keeping that cohesive as changes happen. If you remove a character from an early draft of a script, you can't then reference that character in a later draft of the script, right?
I don't know. I feel like you can.
I mean, you can, but you really shouldn't.
I would like to point out that 2 of these awfully disappointing release games are Disney properties.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a coincidence at all. I don't think it is at all.
Well, it's weird because, like, I genuinely don't know how much influence Disney has, because you look at Spider-Man and you look at Jedi Fallen Order and you look at Star Wars Squadrons. Like, these have all released to anywhere from good to great reviews and really good critical reception and really good, like, fan response and commercial success.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's easy to go like, oh, these are both Disney things, but I think there's something else at play there.
I would argue that, so the first one that failed obviously is Battlefront 2. That one was tied up with the release of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So that could have very easily been a push by Disney, or at the very least, when EA makes a deal with Disney and goes, hey, we're going to make this game, Disney agrees and goes, okay, sure, but he has to be out by this, right? And then at that point, it's then in EA's hands to go, okay, well, how do we manage our time and crunch to get there, right? So if they don't manage properly and get everything done at an appropriate time, there's going to be this fucking awful crunch at the end where they didn't get everything they wanted to get done, and you get a shitty game, right? And then I'd argue that Jedi Fallen Order and Squadrons are in response to Battlefront 2, because Battlefront 2 was received so poorly that there was so much shit on Fallen Order. Like, I remember that. Like, everyone was like, okay, they're doing another Star Wars game. We'll see. Like, and during their marketing, they were pushing so much on, like, hey, there's no microtransactions, even though it's a single-player game. There's no microtransactions. It's going to be story-based, yada, yada. Thankfully, great game. Fucking fantastic game. And then I think Squadrons, I'd argue, is also still a response, because people were complaining about the Starfighter mode of Battlefront 2 not getting any fucking coverage, not getting any updates. It was the only part of the game that got one update, and that was it. And that they got Last Jedi maps after the movie was released. But other than that, no updates to Starfighter Assault. And so I think that was their response, being like, okay, well, here's a better Starfighter game, and we're not going to release it at full price. It's just the Starfighter experience. And it makes sense. Like, I think those 2 games would not exist if it wasn't Battlefront 2. Now with Spider-Man, I think you have a point there with Spider-Man for sure. I'd argue that Spider-Man is like the most beloved property for Marvel. That, I don't know, maybe they just took that one extra step, but like, hey, be fucking careful with this. I swear to Christ, don't fuck this up, right? But Avengers, it's weird because it wasn't tied with any release. It's not like it came out with Endgame or Infinity War or anything. But I feel like there was like a weird thing, like, again, because it's like a live service game, and because they wanted to get it like they would have a reason to get it going sooner than later, so they can start getting people hooked on the live service model to start getting in players and money and all that kind of stuff, right? I'd argue would be a reason to push a little harder. And I don't know, like, maybe there was just stress because it's like the first big Avenger title. We've never really had an Avengers video game before, right? So they're like, I don't know, they already delayed it once, and then, Disney or I guess the publisher is Square Enix, which I think is the other shame too, is like, I didn't expect this kind of like low quality from Square Enix, which sucks. But yeah, it's just, it's weird. I think you're right, Kelly. I think Disney probably isn't like a huge picture, but I think it has to do something with how large these properties are, and then just like the weight that gets put on these things because of those properties and what has to be done with them. And then obviously, different people are in charge of each project, but there's at the end of the day, there's someone up here going, fucking get this shit done, push it out, get it fucking released, so.
In the case of Star Wars, though, like EA already has like the exclusive rights,
Yes,
right? Like they're locked in on that deal. So, like if there's going to be a game, it's them, and it's not like EA has a track record of great games outside of Star Wars that are like free of bullshit.
This is true.
So, I think that I agree that Fallen Order and Squadrons are a reaction to Battlefront 2, but I genuinely think that Battlefront 2 was a mess of EA's making more than anything else.
Oh, 100%.
And I think
agree.
that the only reason they had to react and let Fallen Order and Squadrons be the games they are is because of just how badly they got hammered because of Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
If Battlefront 2 had come out and still done like okay, and people hadn't really cared, and it hadn't started like the legality of loot box conversations in the way that it did, I think that future Star Wars games would have been a lot more similar, like Disney or no.
Yeah, I don't think we would have gotten a totally single player game like Jedi Fallen Order, and I don't think Squadrons would exist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So in the end, it's a good thing that Battlefront 2 sucked so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But-
funny, Kelly, because I feel like you're in the exact same position I was with Battlefront 2. I was like, come on, guys. Like, come play this game. They added
Oh,
Darth,
no.
they did some more maps and shit. There's some more characters. And like,
Oh no, I'm fully aware of the game that Avengers is, man. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I can still occasionally have fun just because of how enjoyable it is to me to run around as these superheroes. Like,
Yeah.
But there's not enough there. Like they didn't do the property justice even remotely, and I don't fault anybody for not playing it. Like I hope that it's good one day, but like, no man, like it's kind of inexcusable. Now to be fair, I do want to point out that this released and was finished during the whole COVID situation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is also
And the
true.
team was
That's
like
fair.
working remotely from home and having to put up with all kinds of bullshit that we've never really seen for like a big
Yeah.
AAA franchise release before. So
Yeah.
it factors in, but that doesn't make the game good just because I know they had to go through bullshit to make it, I think
True.
that's us. I think that's us, guys.
I think that is us. That is us. I think we went on a little longer than I think you anticipated to about Avengers and stuff, but I think that'd be hilarious if you just kind of give us a lowdown on the updates, and then we can just go, oh wow, that's shitty. Move on.
Just yeah, that was the first one. That was the palate cleanser, getting us ready, like remembering the game for those of you who haven't played it
Yeah.
since launch.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's any like updates, I'll just let you guys know because I think it's fun to see your reactions, whether they're good or bad, on what's being released and what's happening with the game.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
seriously, you're the best.
But seriously, I forgot to say, Jack, you'll love this. In the State of the Game blog, where they announced like the rewards thing that they're giving for people who've like been there since the launch, like their like credits and upgrade modules, and it's like 250 upgrade modules too. It's like a decent amount. They're also releasing. They're also giving everybody a Sarah Garza nameplate. Sarah is the one who says that, and they said,
Oh my-
and we're also giving everybody a Sarah Garza nameplate because seriously, you're the best.
Seriously?
That was in
Seriously?
the blog
Yeah.
post, and I just thought that was so good.
That's
So
really
good.
funny.
I love it when the developers embrace the memes, man.
Oh my
Well,
God.
yeah, you gotta. Days Vault.
Very funny. Very
For
funny.
those who don't know, she's a character you go to collect your daily quests, and there's like I guess it's a glitch because the other one doesn't do it, but like
It's
when
been
you
apparently patched now, but some people still have it happen. But yeah,
Oh my god, yeah. So
would
essentially,
you
there's
patch
like
that?
there's usually
I would touch that.
about 8 different like little challenges you can collect, and if you collect all of them, it triggers her voice thing every time. So then you exit the menu, and they're like, "Seriously, you're the best. Seriously, you're the best. Seriously, you're the best."
and you just keep saying it while you walk away. It's
I
great.
think they should just get the voice actor to record multiple versions of the line and then just make that
I mean, put it
the
in
sort of line. So it's
Yeah,
just,
because
seriously, you're the best. Seriously, you're the best.
no,
You're the best.
seriously.
Seriously. So it's just like you just wink at it a little bit.
Seriously, you're the best.
yeah, but that would be great. Because yeah, now she just has like a bunch of different lines. Because she always had different lines, but it was just bugged. It would only play the one. So now they like supposedly fixed it, so she still says other things, but she definitely still says seriously you're the best, and it's great. And now there's a nameplate that's just her face, and I love that.
I do appreciate when companies are aware of the memes and they do the meme.
Yes.
It's great. It's really, really good. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's us.
Yeah, thanks.
That was a good chat.
Thanks, new followers. Thanks,
Good
chat,
talk.
for hanging out with us.
Yes. Thank you, Jordan, for the raid. Thank you, all the followers. I think we got 6 or 7 new followers tonight, which is
Love to
like
see it.
that is a record for one stream for sure. Like by
Love to see
far. And we had like an average of like Jordan rated like 20 people, and then we were at like average of like 10 people like that whole time. So that was great. We got some exciting stuff coming around the corner for Geek Garden. I'm really stoked for everybody. Alessandro, thank you for stopping by, hanging out. Alessandro said that as soon as we get affiliated, he'll be the first to subscribe, which is very cool.
Aw,
so
that's really sweet.
down.
Thanks, man.
He's down to give us money. Hell yeah, our plan is working.
Yes, perfect.
And Sean, you're gonna fuck off tonight. But I'll see everyone else on stream to play some. I'll be playing Ghost of Tsushima tonight, whether it's with you guys or whatever.
I
I'm
can
gonna
do both.
play.
Literally, after this, I'm eating breakfast and playing Ghost with Jack.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
I gotta go to work.
I'm gonna also play Ghost the moment we're done.
Jack,
Yes.
Kelly, don't hesitate to just turn on the stream. Like, I know you guys don't have a camera, but just fucking go for it and just fucking chat and hang out and play. I'm sure
I
Cole
do
will
want to have a
watch.
camera, but I might do that. We'll see.
It's all about the content. Gotta create content all the time. Go, 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 go. But yeah, I'm gonna go to work and I'll be back hopefully around 9-10ish tonight, and then I'm gonna cop on and play some more GOMs, and then I'll be around all weekend too.
Yeah,
while
that.
renovating my bathroom.
Usual stuff. If you're watching this later on YouTube or anything, likes and subscriptions really help us out. Little comments on anything we talked about, just to help the algorithm gods
Sharing
keep us
our
relevant.
stuff is huge. Yeah. Big deal.
Stop by the Twitch. We stream on Tuesdays from now
Yes,
on.
this is a Friday, but yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Tuesdays,
Yeah,
PST,
the podcast will be
around
Tuesdays.
11. Links to the Discord are down below, and we let you know when we go live there.
Yeah, if you're in the Discord chat, you can exclamation mark and then any of our social medias, and you'll get the link. So Twitter, Discord, Instagram, YouTube. All
I've
that
just
good
got
stuff.
chat open while we do these, and I just try and tell people what's up.
Hey everybody, follow us on Discord, you motherfuckers. Okay.
Yeah, but that's us for now. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.